Exercise 4-4. In this exercise, we're going to create another pivot table which compares the order amount, the total order amount for each month, and also shows it in a column chart. So basically, we're going to build a pivot table and a pivot chart. So let's start by building the pivot table. So once again, we're going to go to the source data worksheet because it has our data for the pivot table. We click anywhere within the data, and then we go insert pivot table, and since we've already clicked within the data, then it's automatically picked up here and we don't need to do anything else here. And we also choose to create the pivot table in a new worksheet, so we just go ahead and click OK. And here we are again in this area where we can dynamically build our pivot table. So let's choose the fields to be added to the pivot table report. So the first field we want is month. So we tick month. Okay, now right now the pivot table wizard has chosen to put month in the values area, and furthermore it added all the month values, so that's why it says sum of month. Now that's not where we wanted to go. We wanted to go to the row labels, so I'm just going to click and drag it here. Okay, and now it's showing up nicely here on the row labels. The next thing we want is order amount, because we want to compare the revenues per month. So I take order amount, and this time the order amount is automatically put by the pivot table wizard into the values area, and it's also added according to the row label, which is month, and that's what we want. So we're just going to keep it like this. Once again, we could add our report title here. Okay. And we can also format our pivot table, and we can format our numbers. Okay, so we've got our pivot table, and now we're going to go ahead and create our pivot chart. Now to create the pivot chart, I'm just going to take a shortcut. I'm going to select my pivot table, and then I'm going to go insert, and I'm going to choose the chart type, which is 2D column. And you'll see that it automatically builds the table based on my selection. And I'm going to remove the legend here because I don't need the legend. And for the chart, I want to make it a little taller, and I don't want to see so many zeros here, so I'm going to right click and I'm going to format this axis, and I'm just going to say I want to see it in thousands. Okay, and I also don't want to see the decimal places, so I'm going to go to number, set decimal place to 0 there. And for the total, monthly sales revenue. Now, if you'll notice, there are actually some buttons down here because this is not a regular chart, it's a pivot chart. So down here, we could actually filter the chart. So let's say we only wanted to see the sales revenue for the first 6 months. Then I can go ahead and untick 7 to 12. And you'll see that as I untick these numbers, the pivot chart will also be updated. So now we only see the first 6 months. And if we want to see the whole year, we can get it back by ticking it again. So you can see that pivot charts do come with some interactive features that let you filter out whatever you don't want to see. Okay. Now, if you don't want to keep these gray buttons here, let's say you want the chart to just be like a regular chart, you can right click on the gray button and you can say hide all the field buttons on the chart. So let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, when I do that, then all the those field buttons are gone. And one more thing we can do is we could add, I'll click on layout here, and we could add axis titles. So on the primary axis titles, because some people may not know what 1 to 12 stands for, so I'm going to indicate here that they stand for the month. And I'm also going to do an axis title on the vertical axis, on the y-axis. And I'm just going to put in here that this is the revenue. Okay, and once again, I can try to format this area here. Let me raise it up so you can see. There's something here called format chart area, and I can fill it up with a color. And I can drag it down here. And once again, I can merge and center these report titles. Okay. So there is our pivot table and our pivot chart. And I'm going to go ahead and double click on the sheet tab and rename it as exercise 4-5.